I have no problem doing that with the town or county. But I think that's my perspective overall, is that we can't just lay stagnant. We're gonna have to be proactive. Because this thing can really get away from us quickly, and also it's kind of stressful. Like if you have an emergency, it's kind of stressful to think, well, where are we gonna get the money to fix this? You know, how are we gonna do this? And it's really hard just from my standpoint of looking at that, because it's not that easy. I understand everyone's got to come to the table and figure it out, but I don't see where we have to do it. You know, charter length for me is probably not as big of a concern as it is for y'all, but I do like the idea of the 10 years, maybe getting back together like Levi said, every few years, to make sure everyone's on the same page. Maybe a joint meeting every few years, or you know, just something in order to maintain the communications where everybody knows where everybody's at.
All right, thank you. Teresa?
Lord, where to start? The first thing, communication. I've been here 7 years this year, last past October, and this is the second joint meeting that has happened. We have 2 town council, we have 2 BOS members that are always on our board. I just kind of see it as Bruce, it's those jobs to go back to their boards and tell them what we happened at our board meeting, what we're in the need of, what we're looking at. You know, anytime anybody wants to come to a PSA meeting, it's always open. I don't understand why it is the way that it is. It seems like we're constantly trying to find ways out of stuff instead of trying to fix things. As an operational standpoint, we're fine. We have a great staff. It's probably, if I was still there prior to him, I would not be there. He's a great superintendent, very knowledgeable, works well with everybody. It's our capital needs and our project needs. And it's just like any other business like that, you're gonna need the income for it. And I think since we have town residents and we have county residents and we have businesses, it is up to the town and the county to help the PSA in that area. Your budgets are way bigger than our budgets will ever be. And I just have never understood, I know we've come to both before for line items. I don't understand why we are not in a line item in some capacity. Not to give us to just work off of however we choose to, but for you to keep so that when things like that happen on Oxford Street or coming in the near future could happen, we come to you and we say, this is what we have going on, you know, we need this money. It's never been to put in the PSA revenue, it's always been for you all to keep in your funds as needed. I think the charter needs to go for the 10-year mark to show, like Bruce said, that to the community that you all are invested in us. And I think that if we could just keep everybody in the loop, it would help out so much more to understand why we are the way we are. And to Patrick's comment about that joint meeting, you know, we take that back to our staff and it makes them think, okay, something's gonna come from this. We're going to get somewhere, and town and county's gonna come together and help the PSA when needed. And for that to have just fallen through and never taken place was a huge letdown to the PSA. And I really hope that that doesn't happen again today. Because as employees, that we take that to heart. You know, we have a job to do, we provide water, we provide sewer, and I understand from y'all's point that, you know, those places don't understand that because we don't serve them. But we do serve things in Floyd that they use. And if that, you know, that just needs to be explained to them that way.
Thank you.
Hey Linda, can I add one thing? To what I was saying, you know, about bringing the projects on a yearly basis to y'all to review and kind of ask for approval, it probably wouldn't hurt, kind of like adding on what Mike was saying, if we had in the charter something where there was just a placeholder for a commitment, like for emergency fund, for emergency capital fund or something each year, where it had an actual amount for the town and the county, where that would be at least a placeholder that they would vote on, I guess, just for emergency, kind of like Mike said, when you need something urgent, we're not having to come for this specific item, you know, because we may not know about it at the time. And then still we could petition on other projects too, in addition to like an emergency fund.
I would like to say on Will's agenda, he does have a next meeting line item. I would like to see that that is set before we leave tonight.
No, I appreciate everybody's honesty from my perspective as the chairperson of the PSA. I think that if we are not honest in how we're presenting ourselves, then we're really spinning our wheels. I feel like this authorities board has been one of the strongest boards it has ever had. It is a working board that wants to see things fixed. I will echo to your comments, Levi, that one of the things that had traditionally been done is that an Indian Valley supervisor has been on the PSA. Kalinda is not the first. And that's been important outreach to make people understand. I think that everybody needs to understand that the PSA is not just for the town. That the Public Service Authority affects every single person who lives in this county. And just like it said, well, every town resident is a county resident, everybody in the county, in one way or another, uses the Public Service Authority. If you go to the Floyd Country Store on a Friday night, you are involved with the Public Service Authority. If you have a child, a niece, a nephew, a grandson, a great-granddaughter, you are involved with the PSA. So we really have to try to lay to rest the idea that the Public Service Authority is some albatross around the neck of the citizens of Floyd County. You have somebody you know that works at H&B. So in that respect, we are all somehow affected by what goes on with the Public Service Authority here in Floyd and Floyd County.
I'd say about everybody's probably bought a loaf of bread at Food Line
Or Slaughters,
or Slaughters or got a biscuit at Hardee's or something.
or Express, or West End's hot dogs, or coffee at Circle K. Everybody, in one way or another, is touched by the Public Service Authority. And when you put it in those terms, and you think about it on that level, this is an entire county problem. Or, let me take that back, it's not a problem. It is an entire county's responsibility to make sure that we keep it in its best shape possible.
You might also add that Carillion, Louisville, and
Tri-area.
Tri-area all are on the system, so Skyline Nursing Home, so everybody's, like you say, somehow or another.
As well as both of our funeral homes that when you need them, they need to be there.
I have one question. You said in the code you can't allocate money. You said something about the code, you can't.
Well, one board cannot obligate another board, technically. In other words, like I used the example, we have a certain amount of debt service right now. Well, the current board's agreed, we're continuing it and we're gonna pay it, because if you don't pay it, then you lose your ratings and there's all kind of implications.
Sure.
If you remember years ago, Orange County declared bankruptcy and walked away from their obligations. Well, that board did so, it was the Board of Supervisors or Commissioners, whatever they called it out there.
Supervisors.
They actually walked away and it was years before they built back up They got rid of that board, but the damage had been done. They weren't locked in. They stopped paying their debt service. They stopped paying their bills. And so that, and I'm not saying that would happen here. I don't think it would, but it's a possibility. That's why I say getting down and putting actual numbers in, I don't know. If we can word it in such a way that shows the intent, like Bruce said, that both groups are committed, but any way we do it, there's no, we can't sit here and say 10 years from now that Board of Supervisors is obligated to put $1 million into the PSA or 100,000 or even $10. And the town council is the same way. You can't, you're technically not able to obligate the next board, the next group that comes in, if they come in and they agree to continue it, then they've agreed to continue it. But none of us, neither side we can't put something together that says 10 years from now,
You're obligated.
you're obligated.
If I might respond to that, I mean, y'all got a job to do just like we do, and y'all's job is a lot harder than ours, because you all got more folks that's got their hands in the pot, so I'm not putting y'all down anyway, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate for all of us. I mean, if we stop thinking about if the PSA can't do it by themselves, the town can't do it by themselves, the county can't take it on by themselves, so all three of us has to come together. Cause, and I may be wrong, but I don't see any other authority, if they look and see what the issues are that we have, I don't think we'll have any other authority that wants to come in and privatize it and take it over for themselves, cause it's not gonna be lucrative for them. So what's gonna happen? It falls in, and who are the citizens gonna look at? They're gonna look at all of us in the room, because we are who they elected to take care of this, so yeah, we gotta figure out something.
I'm not saying we don't try and work through it, I just want everybody to understand that on either group, you could have a majority change, and as far as financial contributions or whatever, you know, like she said, there's a list of stuff you'd have to go through before somebody could walk away. But I'm just talking about on this financial stuff, you know, this board in the town right now can currently come to an agreement. That doesn't mean that a future board's gonna honor that agreement, or a future council. Oh, I'm not saying not to, I just want everybody to understand that what we're doing here is not necessarily locking anything in for 10 years. I'm not saying don't start, I just wanna make sure everybody's in the same wavelength, that, you know, whatever this group decides to agree to, another group may say no.
Just bring it down even further. You just had 3 of your members come up for election. And it got a little nerve-wracking. And you didn't know which way it was gonna go. In 2027, there are 3 of us that come up for election, and we don't know which way it's gonna go. So it is an uncertainty, not that it shouldn't be done. I think that's what Jerry's trying to make understood, that the uncertainty with this is real. Not that we shouldn't start anything, but the uncertainty as to whether or not that would continue is real.
And I might add something there too. Not saying that anybody here would do this, but I think we all need to look at ourselves and say, you know, upcoming elections, I don't think anybody here hangs their hat on the fact that this is what I do to serve. We all serve by choice. I don't think anybody has false desires to do much more than what we're doing now. I know I'm not capable of it, but we need to do what's right for the moment instead of worrying about what happens the next time we go to the ballots.
That's what I wanted to get across, you put it
Right.
better than I did. That's what I wanted everybody on the same page and to understand. What happens at the next election may blow everything out of the water, but
It's not what we're worried about.
Well, I'm not worried about it, but I'm just saying that there is that possibility, so we need to know that we're all on the same page.
The
And
only
you
other
put
thing-
it better than I did.
Well, I don't know about that, Jerry. Only other thing I'd wanna add too is that I think the 4 of us here representing the town have to get it out there too, that our pockets are nowhere near as deep as yours.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of, match has to come up at some point. We can contribute what we contribute, and we have, and we've done a lot, I think. But we don't know what the future holds for us. So we are going to need to talk about some kind of split at some point if we're going to commit to something, because we cannot overcommit our people. And that's just the reality of it. I'm not trying to be
Well,
negative.
no, and we're in the same boat on our end.
I
We may have a little
understand.
deeper pockets, but we're all in the same
Yeah.
boat.
Right.
So
Yeah,
those
it's
just
pretty
need to say
level
it out
playing
loud.
field, pretty level.
It's pretty level.
We got no
That's-
revenue, but we got a lot of commitments, but,
Well, yeah, I mean, we just recently agreed and we're starting to finally move forward on a $4 million new, E911 and radio equipment.
Oh.
You know, that
20 years overdue.
Yeah, that should have been done it should have been done at least in 2014. I'm not knocking the boards at that time. They had their reasons for not doing it. But we were at a point where we had to do it. And it's, like you said, doing the right thing at the right time. And that's what we did. That's just one instance. And, I understand because the town has expenses. Well, the counties are usually multiplied more than yours are simply by, like somebody mentioned, the number of populace and the number of different things, schools and whatever. During the, economic turndown and all that back in '08, we were able to, we moved forward on a school project. Back when we came on the board, things weren't the greatest, but we still worked out a $14.5 million improvement and construction on the CT building. So, we did what we had to do what was right, is what I'm getting at. So I think both groups are in that mindset. You do what you have to, not necessarily, you don't look, is this gonna get me reelected or not?
Well, and I'll second what Bruce said, y'all's job's a lot harder than ours. I mean, we got a half square mile and 450 people, so I mean, it's, to scale, it's not the same.
Yeah, but you have similar problems, they're just on a smaller scale. It's like I say about counties all across the state. Every county across the state has the same problems, the only difference is the dollar amount that they're facing, whether it's Lee County or Fairfax.
I was just gonna say, I think we're all on the same page and we need to do something, so, I'll pitch to y'all first. I mean, I'm not committing, but, how much y'all wanna give? I figure let's go ahead and just dive into it.
Give me 5, who's doing the auctioning tonight?
You good at auctioning?
I think
Joe, you got the
after
auction, boys, come on.
Joe used to be an auctioneer.
I know.
after all the discussion, I mean, that's the elephant in the room, right?
It is,
So, I
it
mean,
absolutely is.
The meeting, it's productive, but to hear our thoughts, but
It
at
is
the end
important.
of the day, the elephant is how much we contribute and
Yeah.
I think we talk about it.
Or-
It is two lanes, it's
Yeah.
what what our wishes are for the charter. So we can get that moved forward and get that completed prior to April or
Yeah,
within that
that has-
timeframe, that has to be done.
done.
And then
I mean,
the other
I'm
lane
not saying
would
that
be
it's gotta like
budgetarily.
some hard commitment tonight, but I mean,
We need to
maybe
talk
start the
about
dialogue,
it.
right?
We need to
Like
talk
start
about
the-
ideas. It doesn't need to
Conversation
be,
right here.
right, like you said, Levi, it needs to be out in front of us. This is not a us and them discussion, this
Right.
is a us,
Yeah.
period.
And we-
Correct.
You know, we don't, their opinions, I appreciate what they've said, but in terms of the financial commitment, I mean, they're here looking to us, so that's why I'm not asking how much y'all wanna give, right? Cause y'all are in the receipt.
Zero.
We'll volley back and forth a little and see what we're ready to
I'll
do.
just start with something easy and set the next joint meeting date.
Well, that's kind of what I was gonna suggest. I think the idea of both of our groups going back and really talking about this is important. Both council and the board talking about it, discussing together what we feel comfortable with. No one had on this board, and I'm not meaning to speak for the four of you, but we had try not to have preconceived notions, try to maintain an openness, listening to what you had to say, listening to what the board had to say, and then moving on from there. The next meeting is a good step. I don't know if everybody here is in agreement with 10 years. I don't know. I think a charter discussion probably is good to have with both of our attorneys.
I think they have, but we haven't, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And both of our attorneys talking together. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility either. Because if we're gonna do communication, then those two individuals need to talk as well. In my opinion.
And I also think we need to think about what we're talking about. We're not talking about a school. We're not talking about a business. We're talking about water.
Right.
No one in this room is gonna survive without water. Nobody.
Right.
So keep that at the top of your list, you know what we're actually thinking about. And I say that to our board too, you know,
Yeah.
that's the main thing, you know.
Yeah.
Cause we all know that no water comes into Floyd. So,
Right.
I mean, unless someone within the county's got this big
Well,
well
the
somewhere, they
good
allow us
Lord
to.
lets
yeah.
the rain fall and
So,
the
yeah,
snow.
let's keep, cause I think it's very important to realize that, and you know, we talked about if 3 new members come on the board, of course, we got 2 members coming up here, in a couple of years. So we gotta remember, we're talking about water.
Yeah.
Something to sustain you. And you talked about selling your house, well, if we run out of water, there's gonna be a lot of houses, but ain't none gonna sell, cause ain't nobody gonna buy them because there's no water.
We'll be like one of those stories you see on the evening news.
Yeah.
I mean, you see those things.
Yeah.
Where the town water
Dries up.
supply left and they
Yes, I
trucking
think we
water.
really need to put a lot of thought in what we're doing for the betterment of the entire county, just not the town, because like I say, there's some county on the board as well, and obviously there's some areas in Floyd County that's not served by water, but like Linda said earlier, everybody at some point in time
Is touched by the
is
public.
touched, yes.
Well, and I may be totally wrong on this, but from what I've picked up from this, for me right now, the most immediate thing, now all of it's important, but the most immediate thing is to have funds available if you have a break tomorrow morning, to have funds where you can fix it, where staff can fix it. And right now you don't.
That was gonna be what I said, like, you
Well, to a
talk about
certain, I mean,
commitments.
I'm not talking small, I'm talking on Oxford Street. If we had another Oxford Street tomorrow, you wouldn't have funds to fix it.
No.
I'm not talking about if a valve goes out, I'm not talking about the normal stuff, or if you have somewhere a coupling didn't get glued like it should and it pops loose, that's within your budgeted maintenance there. I'm talking about your major blow-ups.
Let's not put too
Like-
much out there, Chair.
Like, well, no, I'm just saying, to me, that's number one.
I know.
Or number 1A and number 1B is the infrastructure. They're both equally important, but right now, if you had another sinkhole like we did where the car drove in, you're up the creek.
You're
Actually,
exactly
you're
right.
down.
Well, down the creek, yeah, wrong terminology, okay.
Well, that drained the tank, by the way, remember?
Well, see, remember,
And
I-
everybody
I
was out of
on-
water
I
for
was on
several
the
days.
phone for everybody, talking to the guy up in Abington,
Yep.
and, you know, and he's sitting there and saying, well, you know, you're probably you're gonna have to treat.
Yeah.
And that was another added expense that nobody thought, we hadn't
Yep.
thought about at the time.
Yep.
Because when the tank goes to a certain level and it's gone, well, yeah, you can fill it back up, but you're gonna have to treat it because it's been shut down for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
And that could happen, I hate to say it, knock on wood, that could happen tomorrow morning.
Like Beetlejuice.
And I'm not gonna say it again, I said it twice, I won't say it 3 times like Beetlejuice. But the PSA doesn't have funds to fix something like that.
That's right.
So I think you're right, and we need to talk about the numbers, and
We also have to have a charter and we also have to have another meeting.
Well, yes, we do have to have another meeting. But I'd like to hear where the town's at, and I'm sure they'd like to hear where we're at
I mean,
possibly.
it's not committed, it's just.
It's
Alright,
just a talk,
Discussion.
Alright,
and either one may go up or down. I think that was where you were
Yeah, I
trying to
mean, I
get
just
to.
think that's part of being a productive meeting tonight.
alright. Alright, so,
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, we included ours in the packet. We've got $826,000 of unrestricted cash right now in our bank. I mean, if push came to shove and the PSA said they had to have it, we'd probably give them whatever they need to have, cause we gotta have the PSA. I mean, that, at the end of the day, that's what we'd have to do. I mean, that, emptying it would be very irresponsible, but we're prepared to give a sizable amount and set it up. We've set aside $50,000 a year the last couple of years in our budget, trying to get this fund started.
So
nobody
you
wants to say
currently
that.
have 50,000,
Yeah, we have 50 plus another 30 in the budget this year,
so that's up to 80.
that's 80.
Okay.
We've got some unrestricted cash. You know, I would say, I mean, I'm 1 of 4, or 1 of 5, but I mean, it would be very reasonable for us to say we could put in another 100 or 150 tomorrow. If that's what it's gonna take to get the ball rolling, absolutely, but I don't think I can sit there and do that without a significant match from you guys. I mean, we gotta both have skin in it.
Well, I know that, but I think that's where we're trying to get at,
Yeah.
is figure out where each side's at.
Yeah. I mean, do y'all think that's overstating those numbers at all?
No, 'cause you've
I
already
mean-
talked about the taxes and other stuff in our meeting, and we've discussed that. We can pull some more money, it's a drip, but
Yeah, I mean,
a little bit at a time is better than zero.
Well,
Oh.
that's where I was trying to get back to what Levi said, to get some discussion. While I said we have 3 to 4 million, give or take, I'd be hard felt to give the whole 3 or 4 million.
well, but if
I
it
mean,
ran out,
with every-
you would.
I mean, I said I would be hard felt, I said I wouldn't, I didn't say I wouldn't do
Yeah,
it,
that's what I'm
if
saying.
the situation warranted it.
We both would do what we need to do to get it
Sure.
fixed.
Right, but, well, I'll get the ball rolling, and, I was thinking, I thought y'all had the 50, but you went to 80. I wouldn't be above setting aside $100,000 in the budget for emergency, like I said, that's where I'm looking at, for emergencies. So if you did that 100, you'd have 180,000, that if you had an emergency, you had at least that much. At least that would get you started, but now that's just me, I'm just one. I'm not talking for anybody else, I'm just what I've been thinking. And of course, if a project went more than that, then, now, I'm not talking about going ahead and fixing another additional 30 feet while you're in the hole. I'm talking about trying to fix the exact problem. And I know that was a Band-Aid fix for years, and that's what's got us in the problem. But at least for right now, let's cover what it would take to fix the problem that might raise its head. And then we're talking about the additional money in another discussion. That's where I'm at. But I don't know, with the things coming on and the things we've got going, I don't know I could commit more than that right now for the emergency. That's not saying, as I said, we're not saying if something really blew up, you had a lightning strike down there and it blew up half of the clarifiers, well, it's gonna take more than $180,000 to fix that, I know that. But I'm just talking about in our average blow-ups, pipe freezes and busts, then you find, I didn't say anything
All right.
else, I didn't use the same term, and I won't say it 3 times.
Yeah, I really think it's important, just in everything we do to line item, right, a capital expense on different things. I sleep good knowing that we've done that, and I think that's a responsibility we owe the people that elected us in. So yeah, to Jerry's point, something similar to that with, on a line item, right, for our side. But then I was sort of just gonna throw this out there, but in terms of then when these guys come to us, so we're doing those line items in our budgets, but then when these guys come to us with that repair request or that emergency situation, then we break it down if it's possible, and I'm using some of Trent's examples with maybe $150,000 project or something. But what would the thought be then if we broke it down to, all right, what we pull from your side and what we pull from our side is just based off of what our account usages are, right? 51%, 49% to take care of whatever that repair. And it may not always work like that, but like if it's $150,000 project and then we're sending money back, y'all send money back, and then we pay our 51%, that's like $70-some thousand. And then y'all are paying the 49% of that.
So where did the 51 and the 49 come from?
Ain't that the usage of county
No,
versus?
that's not the
Customers.
usage, that's the actual address,
Customer.
What's the
actual
customer
address.
usages?
We haven't done that in years because
Okay.
we started looking at that like, why does it matter whose county and town you're supposed to get certified water? So
I
I've
think
never
there's a point
understood
to
that
that,
either.
but it's like, I think there's also a great argument for my folks in Locust Grove where I'm able to say, well, this percentage of folks that are in the county utilize I mean, that's an argument that I found that I've had to make to my folks to get them to understand why it is important. They understand, I mean, I can say, well, y'all come up to town and you do this and that. But usually when I say something like the schools are in the county or the town, the HEB's in the county, that helps get them on board a little bit. So I was thinking that it was like 51% usage county, 49
No,
town.
I'll just tell you, Levi, the stoplight's in the county. I know it's in the town, but the stoplight and everything between the Floyd County lines is in Floyd County. I pay property taxes the same rate that you do as a town citizen.
Right.
All the businesses, everything's valued, we're all paying into the county. So to me, I think the town-county argument doesn't carry near the weight that I think you guys put on it. Because I'm paying county, we're all paying county. Now granted, I know the town collects funds from businesses because they're in the town as well. So, but I think the 5149 is completely unsustainable for us. I mean, we have $1 million budget and that's the first time it ever hit that. You know, we do not have that kind of fund to be able to do that.
Well, I figured that was a starting point to pitch out there.
Yeah, well, that's a good start point.
But that was actual addresses.
That's
Because
where
before I
that number
left the board, y'all gave me a copy and that's what it worked out to as far as physical
51,
addresses. And let me finish, please. After
that's
that, we were talking about usages, and as far as usages, 63% of the water at the time was being used by the people in the county and about 37 in the town.
And it's still 100%, Jerry.
Well, I know, but
Well, we just need to get out of that thought
I
process.
understand that, but I'm just trying to answer back to what his
Sure.
terminology.
Well, that's a good starting point. 50-50, 51-49, and we'll go from there.
Well, I think you used two different words. You said usage, which that's
Usage,
business turning on the water, and then you said utilize. Who utilize,
Two different
you
things.
way blow us out there, cause Linda put it best of who utilizes it.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's fair.
I mean,
That's fair.
our citizens is on the water. Every employee there utilizes, anybody there that gets their has internet service, they utilize it. I mean, same with H&B and the grocery store, so utilization, you're going by how many residents or county and how many are in town.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different ways you can break that down.
Hey,
So,
Levi, I mean, that's just a hot point for me, so I apologize about that.
I just thought somewhere around there was a
Yeah.
good start
Yeah.
suggestion.
so on top of, just this emergency, I think that there may be a point being missed in here that along with stopping emergencies from happening is a really important aspect. And that means putting in new water lines, lining the sewers like we have. And we have been blessed, unfortunately, the outcome from the COVID pandemic was the ARPA funds and the CARES monies, and we have utilized that to fix a lot. But what that has shown us is for the few things that were able to be fixed, there are a multitude of other things that if we could just work to get those in better shape, we will be far better off in the long run to not have to spend money on failures of any kind. I think the other thing that needs to be kind of discussed is not so much county versus town, but how we figure out when you come before this board. During the ARPA time, Mike was chairman, and he would come and bring Patrick and talk about line items. But maybe it's the PSA's responsibility, not just to say Santa Claus, and I'm not trying to be flippant, but maybe try and I know we've prioritized, but maybe even drill down even further and figure out where our most vulnerable spots are, and then proceed to maybe not only have an emergency fund, but a capital fund. And maybe we figure out how that is structured. As I said earlier, this is not an overnight fix. I think a new meeting, I mean, we're now almost to the point of going on 11 hours of meetings today. And I know that I'm not willing to make an absolute concrete decision. I believe I'm comfortable with 100 to go into an emergency fund, but I'm also not comfortable not discussing capital funds.
Well, I was coming at from that standpoint of getting the ball rolling, addressing the employees' concerns, you know, what are you gonna do, where are you gonna go? I wasn't saying that was I didn't mean that to come across as the only thing. I'm just talking about, we set that money aside so that the PSA knows that if you have an emergency, it's there. Now, and I understand Mike and Patrick's point, you know, they're gonna be in a situation where they're not gonna be, you know, they're gonna need the money now. They don't need to wait 2 weeks to come to a meeting and ask for it. They need to know that they have the use of that money early. So I think where that comes in, and I think with both the council and the county, and this has got a little bit of a hook with a barb on it, we're gonna have to rely and pre-authorize our administrator and our manager that when these things happen, there's certain guidelines that they're gonna have to meet, but, you know, that money's available. In other words, they can disperse that money direct to the PSA to pay the bills.
But there's also $600,000 in their coffers right now that's unrestricted. So I mean, they've got something they can work from, and they come back to us for reimbursement.
Well,
Correct.
or reimbursement if they had to, that's fine. But I'm just saying, you know, with some of the stuff going on, 600,000 may not last very long, depending on what it is. I'm just saying, I'm trying to lay something out that whatever numbers we come up with, whether it's 100 or whatever, that these two people have, and then their deputies or whatever, have the authority that if something breaks, they get the call and they can go ahead and disperse it. We approve, we gave y'all authority to pay certain bills ahead of time. We still approve them at our next meeting, but they're already paid.
Right.
That money's already gone. So we could work something out like that, I think, with the PSA, because I've been there. I've been standing over them holes and
Yeah.
almost fell over in them several times during the middle of the night.
Yep.
And almost run over by people while I'm trying to direct traffic to keep our guys working in the hole. I think that's what I'm suggesting is something, I'm not saying we're just talking about emergency. Let's talk about let's get the emergency and getting a certain amount there so that staff knows they've got that much money on top of the 600,000 if they need it.
To Linda's point, you know, the water situation is reaching a higher risk position. We really need and you know this, Jerry, we need another well. And, you know, in the budget, it's $350,000 we've got for the well, allocated for potential costs for the well. As you all know, you know, finding a piece of land or a landowner who's willing to, you know, give you an easement or sell you part of their land for a well, you know, is not as easy to do. The money is beyond our reach right now, $350,000. But we need to start drilling some holes. It's $40,000 to drill a hole and see, because we don't need a 10 gallon a minute. We need a 100 gallon a minute well. So we don't need a small pumper. We
And
need
more
a
than
big
likely, it's
pumper.
gonna be a deep well.
Well, whatever it takes, we need a well. So to Linda's point about, you know, we do have some capital needs that are rising to the top.
And I will, and
And I wasn't meaning we don't address those. I was just trying to address the emergency situation to get more or less to start to get it off the table, then talk about the capital.
And the other elephant in the room
Thank you.
right now is we have applied for grants and we have been told now that they're on hold for 3 to 4 months. And we were told that we were in the running for this grant. We were the only one, I mean, as soon as that grant came open, we had our application in and we were ready to roll to drill a well. And everything's now on hold. We thought we were gonna get an answer in October, then it became November, then it's now December. So with funds being held far beyond our control, about 350 miles to the north and east, there is nothing for us to do but try to find some money to address these situations that exist. We've done the studies, we got planning grants to do studies to find out where our best possible well might be. So that is there and that is a real issue. Now, whether we can do that before the ground is no longer drillable, I don't know that that's possible. I think we may have to wait a little bit.
Gentleman over your head.
Chris.
Linda had a good thought there, but I am proud to say that I served with some people here on this council that we unanimously approved this document that you all have. And we're gonna do whatever it takes to, in all good judgment of the monies that we have to make sure that the PSA can operate, but we can't pull $2 million out of a hat.
No.
It's just not gonna happen on our end. But we're all unanimously agreed, as Will said, we're gonna do whatever we have to make sure that we can serve the PSA, but if there's a catastrophic failure, we don't have the funds. So it does fall on you all to try to come to an agreement on, we can't tell you all what to do on your all side, but we're willing to do whatever, and it's a challenge to you all. We're willing to do whatever to make sure people have water in the county. Yes, we don't have the ability to generate those funds,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, we're-
That's what everybody's been saying for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have
Yeah.
one question, if I may.
All right.
On that grant, and I know it's been held up a long time, too long,
Everything is.
a lot longer.
Yeah.
Has anybody asked them that if you went ahead and drilled the well, could you use that to reimburse the expense?
Every grant seems to have different conditions. I mean,
I know,
that's
but
certain.
I'm
It'd
just
be worth a
asking.
question.
I'm just asking, have they been questioned on that? Or if you went ahead and drilled the well to see what you could do, when the money does kick loose, would you be able to just put that back into the 600,000?
Or if it's borrowed.
To my
sometimes if it's
knowledge, this is a new
Or
borrowed funds.
sometimes if it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
borrowed?
sometimes
It's
if
a new
it's
program.
borrowed funds.
Maybe you can check with Matt tomorrow and he can call and ask.
The likelihood is no, usually
Yeah,
it's.
like-
Well, I know the likelihood is no, but sometimes you don't know till you ask the question.
that.
And where I'm coming from, I understand the need for the wells. They've been needed for quite some time. That's why I'm saying, if the grant people, and you want it in writing, not somebody's word, if they would agree to reimburse, then, you could go ahead and drill the well. Now, once you drill it, then you got the $350,000 problem, but that can be worked out too, I think.
Right.
But go ahead and, the first step's to get the well dug. And if they will allow you to reimburse yourself, or if it's a loan, if it has to be structured as a loan or whatever, and then they would reimburse the loan. I'm just thinking of something to get it moving.
You bet.
And maybe I'm out in left field there on that, but like I said, all they can do is say no.
What grant did you apply for?
It's the PFAS.
It's
stuff.
PFAS, yeah,
It's
we
a
included
new-
a well with it, but wells 1, 2, and 3 tested for, barely went over the qualifying limit in order to have to convert over to some kind of filtration system, green sand filters, probably something like that, or, so it was part of that grant. And that's one of the ones we just got notification from just literally like yesterday.
Yesterday?
That's gonna be put off 2 or 3 months.
And I know the volume of wells, they've been going down.
Yeah.
Has anybody explored, cleaning, I mean, there's gotta be a certain amount of sediment that's settled into the wells, which affect the amount of water in the well. Has anybody looked into that as far as trying to get that, possibly clean one out and see what that does to the overall?
Well,
I know it's an expense, but we're talking about water and immediate problems. If you can get more volume of water in the well and more, then that would help too.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not using the F word, I'm not talking about that.
Oh my.
You know which word.
Fracking, yeah.
You said it, I didn't. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about, there are ways to clean these wells that you can get sediment out. I know citizens in the county, they have done it by using the F word, but there's also others where outfits came in and they actually cleaned it out and they actually gained more water than they had when they first drilled the well, believe it or not. Not many, but some. But I'm just thinking about if you could clean.
But I do know that whenever the geologist that y'all used, we also used, and we came out, and he discussed some of those options for that. And the upside of that is sometimes you can also reduce what you've got.
I know.
So it could actually, it may
Backfire.
help you, or it could actually hurt you.
Backfire.
It's a roll of the dice, I understand.
And I
but-
think that's a good thing maybe to keep in mind, if we get another well, that's a good pumper and a big producer, then maybe we go back and
Pick one.
and pick one and
But
try it. But right now, we're not.
No, we're not in the
Yeah, we don't have that
business.
luxury
No, I
right now.
know,
but-
I know, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go out and do one
Yeah.
of the functional
Yeah,
wells
because
now.
there is that
because-
possibility that we could actually hurt ourselves.
But if you get another
I
replacement
mean,
well, we come up with the money to outfit it and get it in the system, then you could go back to one maybe that's had the most droppage and say, all right, let's try this on this and see what it
That's a
does.
problem I'd love to have, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great to be able to do something like that, but.
So, so I think that we have ample comments, suggestions, 10-year process, financial obligation, process for asking, annual, PSA annual presentation, accrual, that's set aside, that would be something that would go there, possibly interest-bearing account, emergency fund, and the separate kind of, that was discussed. Those first items, I believe, kind of will bring back, I'll kind of collate, throw it back out to everybody. I do know that Steve Durbin did want to meet, so to discuss the charter, discuss these findings, what we come up with in this meeting, and then, so in January, so to your point, Teresa, January 5th is our organizational meeting, January 13th is our Board of Supervisors meeting.
If that's what we decide.
If that's, from-
Let's try to have our next meeting when we haven't had a board meeting,
That's fair too.
because, you know, we've been here since 8:30 this morning,
That's right.
and it's hard to
We're working
consume and digest
We
all
on
this
overtime.
stuff.
You mean
Yeah,
you
we're
don't
in
do like we did with Quadrex and go to 3:30?
Nope.
Oh, come on.
Our board meeting would be January 8th,
Right?
and then town council has the first.
The first Thursday.
So the organizational meeting is
Wait a
the
minute.
5th.
Right.
So the first Thursday would be the first,
We won't meet that day.
and so will you meet the 8th?
6th.
Oh, the Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so then our meeting would be
What was,
the 8th.
Kim, finish your thought.
Thank you. So the organizational meeting that we have on the 5th to solidify what the board's choices are or wishes for when they wanna have their meetings, because if it changes, it could change things, right?
Yep.
So, but on that agenda, I will put, if it's okay with you guys, the setting, once we set that date of what when we know when our meetings are gonna be, I'll also put on the agenda, if it's okay with you, setting or an example of getting some dates for the joint meeting. And then I could push it out and then we can confirm it between the PSA and all that.
Could we, and I know we got holiday and everything else, could we also add to that 5th, a time and possibly Steve attend and us discuss this with the charter with him that day?
That's a possibility, yes.
I mean, we're gonna come out anyway, what is it,
Right on the 5th.
9 o'clock or something?
Yes, it was set for 9.
Okay, we're coming out anyway. If he, you know, if you could get him some of the stuff, let him review it,
course.
then we could discuss it with him on the 5th. Then we would at least have something to talk about as far as the charter the next time we got together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and after that, then if you guys would give me dates, then I could push it back
Right.
out. And so my point is prioritizing it and ensuring that a meeting happens the first, as soon in January as we can. So we can kind of just put the charter, make that decision, and then kind of revisit the monetary commitments and put that into place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I will see if Steve is available on the 5th.
Yeah.
Okay, I will send him an email tonight actually, and if not, I'll see if you want a special meeting or,
Well, that's what I was,
It'd be easier for you to push dates out than us sit here and talk over top of each other trying to figure out
yeah.
who got what date, you
Right.
know, so.
exactly, so that's, yeah, that would be the intent, I think that would be a little bit more.
What
It
is-
worked out real well, communicating with Teresa and Andrew and kind of,
And
we're good, and we were like,
and
good,
do it
let's
as
go.
early as possible,
That's
like
correct.
you said.
Yeah,
Correct,
in January.
correct, and then, kind of just continuing this and just putting some stuff into place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think this has been a great meeting.
Yeah.
I kind of would like to hear Joe's comments. Joe hasn't really said much. So I'd like to hear what Joe's take on this whole thing is too.
I wanna think about everything I've heard tonight, you know, like I say, you know, back to Levi's point a while ago, or Linda, whoever said that 3 of us is coming up for re-election if we decide to run or whatever. That's another year or so away, and I'm not thinking about it right now. But to put it in perspective, when I came on this board 14 years ago, I was one of these country folks wondering what the heck we're paying all this money to the PSA about. Okay, and it took a while for me to figure out, hey, you know, it's important that we have the PSA. And then I could start working from there. All right, if you was to get, say, Lord forbid, 2 new or 3 new members here that had my mindset, because they come from the far side of the county, they want to screw up everything that we worked to build up. So we need safeguards in that charter to protect against that.
As much as we can,
as
yeah.
much as we can, and we need to find some way or another to get these people on the fringes of the county to understand what the PSA is. Because, like I say, when I come on the board, I didn't know what it was. So we need to educate our people, you know, and make it a lot easier for us to get anything done. And, you know, I agree, we need an emergency fund, but we gotta figure out where we're gonna find that money at first. Cause we still looking at fire trucks, garbage trucks,
Ambulances.
yeah, ambulances, you know,
School buses?
yeah, and school buses especially, you know. So, we gotta juggle the books, as they say, and figure out where we're gonna come up with extra money, which I know we need it, but just getting it.
You know, unfortunately, the bottom line is regardless of who's in the town council or who's at the board of supervisors table, it's gonna fall in our laps or whoever's laps at that point in time, whether they understand what's going on or not. So like you said, somehow we need to start educating the public that this stuff is coming. And like Chris said, you know, let's get ahead, or this Chris said, too many Chris's. Get ahead of the ballgame, you know, stay in front instead of behind, at least try to get in front of this rather than behind it. And I think that'll go a long ways in getting people to understand. And you know, this ain't an important thing, just like the sheriff's office, like fire trucks, the schools. I mean, like I said earlier, y'all don't have to worry about me running for y'all's job, cause
Come on,
I
Bruce.
wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Because I mean, y'all only got a big pie. And that thing's gotta be sliced in many ways.
Don't start talking about pies now.
Yeah, I hadn't had supper yet, come on now.
And like you said earlier, we gotta be proactive, you know, I believe in preventive maintenance. And one of the biggest things on being proactive is just getting the people to understand what the PSA is all about. You know, cause I'll use myself as an example, I did not know. You know, that's the reason I said, I thought I knew something about county government till I got on the board.
Well, that's another thing that I think we need to talk to the school about. You know, I've mentioned several times about their civics classes. I don't know how many people younger than I am that I have them come to me and talking, and I'm starting to explain to them the Dillon rule and the limitations. They never heard of it. They have no clue what it is. And maybe also in getting them to explain more about the Dillon rule, maybe they could spend a little, maybe we'll get some of, at least get it started with them. We'll still have to we'll have to bring the adults up to speed, but start using them in the school system to explain our locality and what some of it, what it's about. At least future generations would understand.
I had the county administrator write down what the Dillon rule was and give it to me, and I tried to memorize it. And I have to go back every so often and read it to understand what the Dillon rule is. And, you know, that comes again with the education.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we're moving in that range, maybe we can also move in a little more education. We talked about doing EMS education up there, maybe a little more about the government too. At least that would help in future generations. It's gonna be up to us to educate the general public, the adults right now.
One more quick question from you all, because y'all talking about educating the public. From y'all's standpoint, do you think it would help if we started now, if the PSA came before y'all's meeting every month and kind of give a report, even though I know that we've got representatives, and same thing with the town, to come, and maybe the more they see the PSA there, maybe the more incumbent upon them that, yeah, this is an important part of the county. Do you think that would help?
It wouldn't hurt.
You know, it was funny because you should say that. I was gonna mention, but I thought I'd just leave it for the reorganizational meeting and kind of put it out then. But, you know, we have a slot for constitutional officers, and we rarely get any constitutional officers. They come every once in a while, but I think that there possibly could be a slot that once a month You could do it the day or the afternoon, and of course, we have to talk amongst ourselves, but I don't see a problem with the PSA coming maybe once a quarter, if you wanna come once a month, every other month. I mean, if you feel like that would be helpful for you to explain what's going on in the day-to-day world of the PSA, I'm not a
'Cause I can
Opposed to that.
I can guarantee you, if you do that, it'll get out on the Floyd podcast.
Wow.
And then
Oh, you got multiple.
It would be a good way to,
45 or 50 people just off of that.
yes, that'd be a good way to educate.
To Bruce's point, you know, the sooner you start it, the better off you are.
Right.
And so, like Linda said, we could make a slot on our agenda for 15 minutes for PSA, and y'all could come in and explain, hey, we got this facing us, we need to do this, or we've accomplished this, and let the people know what y'all are doing.
'Cause when I,
Would you be comfortable doing
Oh,
that?
that'd be fine, yeah,
see, when I was talking about the PSA, I wasn't looking at any one of you. I was talking to the camera.
Yeah.
And I was telling everyone that's listening now what it means for the PSA to be here in Floyd County. And there are times during our meeting where I won't talk to any single person in the room and I'll look at that camera. Because those are the folks that need to understand or want to know something. And we are televised so that people can hear and be kept up to date on things. It's their choice whether they tune in or not, but we are providing a means with which you can stay in touch with what's going on in the county. Now,
You'd be surprised how many people, they may not tune in while it's going on, but
Yeah,
you'd
they
be
watch later.
surprised how many people actually pick up
Right.
on it and
watch
listen.
later.
I've had people comment to me, I've mentioned the road situation that I've, traveling and saw. And I've gotten, well, thank you for thinking of our roads. We're glad that y'all are doing that. And I'm sure y'all have too in other instances.
I already got a phone call about today's meeting.
Have you?
There you go.
I hadn't checked mine, I got mine off, so.
Mr. Chairman, if it's all right with you, I would ask for a motion from the Public Service Authority to adjourn our meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you. Teresa, would you call the roll?
Ray,
Yes.
Mike?
Yep.
Bruce?
Yes.
Will?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes?
Colin?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time and efforts. I know everybody worked a full day. Well, I know Trent worked a full day for sure.
Y'all wanna go ahead and close y'all's full day, right?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, got a motion, there a second?
Second.
We'll all say yes and move on.
Yes.
Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All right, motion to close.
That ain't fair.
Ms. Bechtold? Ms. Bechtold? Yes. Ms. Cookenbook?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
And Mr. Terman.
And you will send
Thank
out.
God.